What makes a good beat 'em up game? Well, as gamers, we might have different answers, but talking with a few peeps, it seems like there's a few common themes. Things like interesting characters, solid and responsive gameplay, difficulty level, being challenging but not frustrating, and theme. Talking about the graphics, the sound and music, and while I agree with all of these, a good beat 'em up to me should also be able to appeal to any type of gamer, young and old, grippy with that cool story or motivation to want to go out and smash up some faces, and most importantly, have that replayability. Well, taking all of these things into account, I've gotten together a list of my top 15 all-time favorite and, in my opinion, greatest beat 'em up games. Now, just wanted to put this out there that this list is obviously subjective and based on my own specific preferences and experiences playing these games, so it might look totally different for a lot of you guys out there, and that is all good, man. But yeah, I know most of you guys hopefully will agree with some of these listings, so yeah, without any delay, here's the list. Okay, at number 15, I needed to include Battletoads. Now, obviously difficulty aside, because yeah, as a kid I could never finish the game, but it's been those total vibes that got me coming back for more again and again. And look, this game follows three Toad heroes called Zitz, Rash and Pimple as they battle the evil Dark Queen to save their kidnapped friends and save the galaxy. The mission was simple but effective. I love the Turtles' inspiration, tough but solid gameplay, and those epic boss battles. And Battletoads was unique, fun, with plenty of over-the-top action and just, you know, a sharp beat 'em up with many cool memories. Now, getting on with things and sitting at my number 14, we'll deep dive back to 1988 and check out this often overlooked ancient Greek beat 'em up called Altered Beast. Developed and published by Sega, Altered Beast stars a shape-shifting resurrected centurion against the ability to transform into powerful mythological creatures such as a werewolf, dragon, bear, and more. For the time, this shape-shifting mechanic was epic and offered something unique for the genre. Also, I wanted to place mention of the co-op gameplay option, which just added to the game's engagement and the atmospheric setting. Dude, overall, Altered Beast has charm, fun gameplay, and remains a classic to this day. So, get ready to rock out with this one. This might just be one of the coolest film tie-in beat 'em ups out there. For number 13, I've got Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. Now let me tell you, it's a total banger. Created by Ubisoft, this retro-style game perfectly captures the essence of the graphic novel series and film adaptation, while also delivering some epic action. Throughout the game, you'll come across nods of classic franchises like Kirby, Mario, and even River City Ransom. But look, this game is like a love letter to video game and pop culture inspirations, all wrapped up in one kick-ass package. If you're looking for something stylish, cooperative, with an engaging story, then this is another game to add to your must-play list. Okay, so we are down to number 12, and for this one, I'll bring you guys back to that old school beat 'em up action with Dungeons and Dragons, Shadow over Mystara. This Capcom developed arcade game was way ahead of its time, bringing together classic side-scrolling beat 'em up gameplay with advanced RPG elements that would let you gear up and customize your character. The game follows a group of adventurers known as the Heroes of Mystara as they face a new threat known as Sign, who initially appears as a young woman with powerful magical abilities. Without spoiling too much, the game begins with the Heroes of Mystara consisting of 6 playable characters with different abilities and classes being summoned to the Kingdom of Darken. The land is under attack by Sign, who seeks to plunge the world into darkness, leaving you to gather powerful artifacts to defeat Sign's minions, and ultimately confront her in her lair to go about saving the kingdom. Dude, this was a really cool game, which has perfected that RPG and beat 'em up blend, making it completely unique and still stand out to this day. With epic battles and quests to complete, it's no wonder Dungeons and Dragons Shadow over Mystara secured a spot on this list. Alright, we're down to number 11, and for this spot I've got the recently released Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Well, it's not that recent, but dude, this was a cool game, and it's been ages since we've had a classic Turtles beat 'em up, and I'm happy to say this one hit all the right buttons. Shredder is back with a vengeance to once again try to unleash chaos in New York City, and it's up to the Turtles to stop his plans. Shredder's revenge perfectly captured that essence of the beloved franchise while paying homage to that classic beat 'em ups from the past. I was super impressed. It was like stepping into a time machine but with modern features, and look, this game has it all, from the spot-on gameplay mechanics to that retro-inspired music to that stunning visuals. If you're craving for a bit of nostalgia while also seeking out something a bit modern, then this one is a no-brainer. And making it down to number 10, I've got the classic Simpsons Arcade, which was developed by Konami and released back in '91. In this game, you'll be joining the Simpsons family as they take on the mean streets to rescue little Maggie from her kidnappers. Look, it's a classic setup for a beat 'em up, but what set this game apart was its ability to capture the show's trademark humor and zany antics. From fighting your way through crusty land to facing off against iconic villains like Mr. Burns and Smithers. Dude, this game still holds up. It's no wonder that it's still one of the best-selling arcade cabinets for its time. Alright, listen up. I've got another blast from the past for you guys, and this game is called River City Ransom. Smashing in my number 9. Now, this quirky, open-world beat-em-up from 1989 is all about two high school dudes named Alex and Ryan who's on a mission to save their girlfriends from trouble in River City. This game essentially is the complete opposite of its spiritual successor, River City Girls, which came out back in 2019. It's like a reverse version of the same story. Yeah. Despite its age, River City Ransom still holds up for its unique gameplay and sharp, retro vibes. It was developed by Technos Japan and actually inspired countless other games, including River City Girls, so consider heading back to this gem. Alright gamers, we are heading back to the 90s with Spiderman and Venom, Maximum Carnage, swinging in my number 8. Before we were saving New York City in the epic Marvel Spider-Man for the PS4, we had this gem of a beat 'em up released back in '94 for the SNES and Sega Mega Drive or Genesis. Now this story begins when the serial killer Cletus Cassidy is merged with another symbiote, creating the sadistic and superpowered Carnage, who is on a mission of chaos and while forming alliances with other supervillains. Keeping everything in check, you'll take on the roles of Spider-Man along with the help of Venom and rally a group of fellow superheroes and anti-heroes to stop Carnage's rampage across New York City. Dude, this game was solid and the replayability through the roof. I love the original, comic book storyline, the iconic characters and the ability to control both Spider-Man and Venom. Overall, to me, this is just another classic beat 'em up. And keeping the list going and sitting at my number 7, what else but the classic Double Dragon. This game not only deserves a spot on this list, but it's well understood that this game revolutionized the beat 'em up genre. A classic 1987 arcade game that paved the way for that golden age of this genre. This game was so popular that it even had its own animated series and live action movie adaptation. Double Dragon was the game that set the standard and that made way for many other brawlers like Street Fighter to follow in its footsteps. Man, when it comes to beat 'em up conversations, you gotta give credit where credit is due and mention Double Dragon. This OG inspired an entire generation of games, and that's why it's on this list. Already at number 6, Golden Axe is where it's at. This is an absolute classic that will never lose its luster, and Sega delivered a masterpiece with this hack and slash fantasy beat 'em up. You could choose to play as a dwarf, a barbarian, or Amazon warrior, each with their own unique set of skills and weapons. You'll traverse through multiple fantastical levels, battling hordes of enemies and overcoming challenges on your quest to defeat the evil Death Adder. With his perfect blend of swords and sorcery, Golden Axe offered a unique adventure that was hard to resist. Whether you're a fan of classic beat 'em ups, fancy games, or love bashing skeletons with an axe, this game has it all. No wonder it's a timeless gem and a game that definitely deserves a spot on this list. Alright, so if you're a fan of Street Fighter, then you'll most likely know what I'll be talking about. Yes, it's the one and only Final Fight, hitting in my number 5. Now, it actually started as a fighting game project called Street Fighter 89, but thanks to the success of Double Dragon, it took on a different path in development, and I'm glad it did. Final Fight is an epic beat 'em up that's right up there with the greatest in the genre. The story evolves around Metro City, where the mayor's daughter Jessica has been kidnapped by the ruthless Mad Gear gang, leaving it up to the former professional wrestler Mike Hagar and his allies Cody and Guy to embark on a mission to rescue Jessica and to go about bringing this gang down. Final Fight, man, just had that unique vibe. It really made it stand out, and each character had their own unique fighting styles and features, and yeah, overall, Final Fight just remains cool and memorable. Now, this next game might be a bit controversial, and I know it was heavily inspired by Streets of Rage and all of that stuff, but you know what? I really liked Fighting Force, and to me, it's just one of those underrated beat-em-ups that deserves way more credit, man. This is why I'm noting this one on number 4. And this 3D beat-em-up by Core Design released back in '97, where you could choose from 4 different characters, each with their own unique moves and fighting style, with Smasher being my favorite. And the best part, you could destroy just about anything in your path. Smash through crates, break windows, use all sorts of objects as weapons, take the enemies down, and dude, the gameplay is fast-paced and action-packed, and the co-op really functional. Everything for the time, really well designed. You could even choose different paths and stages as you progressed, and the story was pretty straightforward. I mean, you just needed to stop Dr. Dick Zeng, who's just some crazy dude trying to destroy the world, but man, it was just all about that 90s vibes. And look, Fighting Force, it's just a hidden gem that deserves way more love. And if you love beat 'em ups as much as I do, and you haven't played this one yet, dude, I know you won't be disappointed. Alright, gamers, let's talk about a game that's been around for a hot minute, but still packs a punch. I'm talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, heading in at my number 3. This arcade beat 'em up was and still is the real deal if you're a fan of the genre, and if you haven't played this one yet, look, this epic game hit the scene back in '91, and it was an instant hit. It was like the ultimate upgrade from the previous games, adding in tons of new features and a cool story, which begins with Shredder stealing the Statue of Liberty, transporting it through a time warp. Turtles pursue him, finding themselves in different eras, including the prehistoric age, on a pirate ship in the middle of pirate-infested seas, a futuristic city, and even the Wild West. As they travel through time, the Turtles must defeat Shredder's minions, including Bebop and Rocksteady and Krang, and return to the present time, confront Shredder, and go about restoring the Statue of Liberty. But for the time, the game created magic. I mean, with its 4-player co-op gameplay, exciting action, and overall charm. Just one of those games that will always be a blast to play. Alright gamers, time for another underrated placement. Another beat 'em up classic. Yes, I'm talking about The Warriors for the PS2. Sliding in my number 2. Now dude, The Warriors beat 'em up is a vibe. It's totally underrated with its fast-paced action, insane combos, and nostalgia. I mean, it follows a gang of street fighters who are out to save the turf from rival gangs and evil masterminds. It's like a modern-day Warriors tale with epic fights, unexpected twists, and plenty of challenges along the way. It's also addictive as hell, keeping you glued to your PS2 console as you try and beat your high score, become the ultimate warrior. Yeah, look, if you're into retro gaming and love arcade classics with a killer story, don't miss out on this one. And look, if you've played this game before, you'll definitely know what I'm talking about here. And we finally made it to the top of my list. And if you've been waiting for the Streets of Rage game to make an appearance, your patience has paid off. My number 1 beat 'em up of all time is none other than Streets of Rage 2, released back in '92. Kicking ass as Axel, Blaze, Eddie and Max in Streets of Rage 2 is an experience that's simply untouchable. Even after all of these years, it's still a game that's hard to beat, man. Many of the games out there has tried to copy its formula, but none has come close to capturing its perfect blend of action, nostalgia, and pure beat-em-up fun. From the iconic characters to that epic soundtrack and intense gameplay, Streets of Rage 2 has it all. It's just a game that stood the test of time and continues to be loved by fans all around the world. If you're a fan of the genre, this game is an absolute must-play. This game to me is just the ultimate beat-em-up and overall, gaming classic. There you have it, gamers. This is my top 15 greatest beat-em-up games of all time. Hope you guys enjoyed this list, and I hope some of these games brought back some cool memories and all of that stuff. But look, whether you prefer the old school simplicity of Double Dragon or the advanced RPG mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons, Shadow over Mystara, there's something for everyone in this beat-em-up genre. Well, let me know what you guys think and what your all-time favorite beat-em-up game is. It's always cool to hear from you guys, and yeah, if you did like this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribe, and, you know, hit that bell notification. It always helps out a ton. It also lets me know that you guys are, you know, into these type of videos and all of that stuff. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for all of the support. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, see ya.